We need to make landlordism shameful again. Thank you for this effort, random lefty whinger. As with all lefty whingers who comment on my channel, of course, there's no photo, there's no name, because you prefer to do your kinder, gentler sort of politics anonymously. But let's try and unpack what you've added to the debate here. First of all, landlordism should be shameful, or we need to make it shameful. Kind of interesting this, because landlordism isn't exactly popular. It's been sniped at for a long time. Started with the Conservatives dismantling it. It's been carried on by the Socialists in number 10 at the moment. And the problem with your approach, and it's not just you, but you've decided to make this comment, the problem is that you have no concept of reality or what's actually happening in the real world. So the fact that tenants are increasing in number because more people come into the country, because people split up, people leave home, the way people work and live and travel has all changed. There is a greater and greater demand for rented properties. Now, we may agree that the private landlord sector isn't working the way it should. We may also agree that the wider housing situation in the UK is faulty and has been for decades. Both governments, I think we might agree, haven't really done as well as they might. The problem with your approach is, much like Angela Rayner, rather than try and seek a fix with the current providers, we're going to go down the whole route of, we'll get rid of landlords. So then what are you going to do? You've then got an increasing, by day, number of aspiring tenants and a reducing number of properties. Now, you know what's happening because it's what's happened for the last 3 years. Typically, agents will tell you they used to have 2 to 5 inquiries per property. Now they have 9 or 10 inquiries per property. I spoke to an agent recently who said he's got 720 properties on his books, and at the point I spoke to him, he had 1 available for rent. So whilst you're busy making landlordism shameful, that's the reality on the ground for tenants. You don't have a God-given right to exploit. Common problem for lefty whingers, you pack your beliefs into your statement, so we then end up having to negotiate what that means. I don't think any landlord believes they have a God-given right. That's your perspective. You've been hanging around socialist work demonstrations too long to exploit. I mean, again, exactly the same thing. The majority of landlords are trying to offer a decent service for a fair price. Not all, of course, but just the same as tenants. Not all tenants are decent tenants. You have inherited wealth. Again, you are misstepping so much of your beliefs and statements here. The majority of landlords, as I'm sure you would know if you actually came out from talking to other socialists, the majority of landlords have got 1 property for rent, and it's because they couldn't sell it, or because their relationship changed and they decided to try and rent that one out, or in many cases it was because the last time we had socialists in number 10, the Chancellor then, as the Chancellor now, decided to really go for working people. So a lot of working people said, since they are going for our pensions, this was Gordon Brown's repeated raid of pensions, we'll try to invest in property for a future pension for the next 20, 30 years. That was why many people became landlords back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now, you won't know this because you're more interested in posturing about dreadful landlords, but this is what happened. It's interesting history is now repeating itself because the current socialist chancellor, of course, is going after people's pensions, we believe. But all you're interested in is making statements that sound good to you and other socialists. So this idea of inherited wealth, no. Most people worked hard, sacrificed, gave up, make choices in life. If you're earning from wealth, again, I'm sorry I have to do this so often, but your statement is so full of missteps and errors. The idea of earning from wealth, again, I know is popular to slate for lefties, and it's clearly what Keir Starmer is doing, but most landlords don't just earn from wealth, they also have a job, a normal job, like most working people do. They might also have a property. Now, they might use agents, or they might use people who do maintenance. They might have that sort of network in place, but all of that, of course, is generating cost and wealth and taxes. you're not working, you should pay more. Again, this is the sort of final point here. If you were slightly better informed than you are, landlords are already paying more. This was courtesy of the Conservative government from 2016. Landlords are the only business who pay on turnover. So landlords pay tax on turnover. Everyone else pays tax on profit. Landlords also have to pay additional fees and costs and charges and liabilities and obligations that no other business owner pays. It is solely because landlords are landlords. So thank you. You definitely win Lefty Whinger of the Week, and hopefully you've managed to stay to the end of this video, long video, but you've come up with so much nonsense in your comments here. I'm going to try and just help unpack those for you.